He remembered Winterfell as he'd last seen it, not as grotesquely huge as Harrenhal, nor as solid and impregnable to look at Storm's End, yet there had been a great strength in those stones, a sense that within those walls a man might feel safe. Tyrion Lannister's thoughts on Winterfell, A Clash of Kings Chapter 54, Tyrion 12. Winterfell is the ancient seat of House Stark, the very heart of the North itself and the region's de facto capital. Rising from the centre of the northern lands, the great castle stands astride the King's Road, the vital route that winds all the way from Storm's End in the south to the Wall in the far north. The stronghold lies on the eastern fringes of the vast and deep Wolfswood, just north of the western fork of the White Knife River, with Castle Cerwyn nearby. To the north of Winterfell, the rugged mountain ranges loom. To the east lies the wide expanse of Long Lake. Winterfell itself rests roughly 100 leagues, that's about 300 miles, southeast of Deepwood Motte, anchoring the Starks at the very heart of their domain. Legend holds that Winterfell was built 8,000 years ago by the legendary figure Brandon the Builder, with the aid of the giants after the Long Night. Maesters, however, argue that the castle was not constructed all at once, but expanded gradually over different eras, since the ancient Starks never levelled the ground to plan a single unified structure. Some scholars even suggest that a chain of ring forts once stood on the site where Winterfell now resides. For nearly all of recorded history, Winterfell has served as the seat of House Stark, first as the Kings in the North and Kings of Winter, and now the Wardens of the North, after King Torrhen Stark bent the knee to Aegon the Conqueror and his dragons almost 3 centuries ago. In the earlier centuries before Aegon's conquest, during the wars between the Kings of Winter of House Stark and the Red Kings of House Bolton, Winterfell was twice burned by King Royce II and then Royce IV Bolton of the Dreadfort, long before the arrival of the Andals. The castle's inner walls were erected roughly 2,000 years ago, while the outer walls were added during the reign of King Edric Snowbeard. Legend holds that the heads of some giants were once displayed upon the walls, a grim testament to the deeds of the North as the elder races were pushed further beyond the wall and passed into legend. According to the Free Folk, Bale the Bard once gained entrance to Winterfell, posing as a singer. Leaving behind a winter rose, he is said to have spirited away the daughter of a Lord Brandon Stark. The story recounts that she later returned with an infant, a future Lord Stark, claiming that he'd spent the time hiding within the crypts of Winterfell. This tale, however, is not recorded in the official chronicles of the castle, and it's unclear how true it really is. Bran could perch for hours among the shapeless, rain-worn gargoyles that brooded over the first keep, watching it all. The men drilling with wooden steel in the yard, the cooks tending their vegetables in the glass gardens, restless dogs running back and forth in the kennels, the very silence of the godswood, the girls gossiping beside the washing well. It made him feel like he was lord of the castle, in a way even Robb would never know. It taught him Winterfell's secrets too. The builders had not even levelled the earth. There were hills and valleys behind the walls of Winterfell. There was a covered bridge from the 4th floor of the bell tower across to the 2nd floor of the rookery. Bran knew about that, and he knew how you could get inside the inner wall by the south gate, climb 3 floors, and run along all the way around Winterfell through a narrow tunnel in the stone, and then come out on ground level at the northern gate, with hundreds of feet of wall looming over you. Even Maester Luwin didn't know that. Bran was convinced. The Thoughts of Bran Stark on Winterfell, A Game of Thrones Chapter 8, Bran 2. Winterfell itself is an immense castle complex, covering several acres and surrounded by 2 formidable granite walls. Beyond the outer wall lies a village known as the Winter Town. The castle itself was built around an ancient godswood atop a natural hot spring, the waters of which are channeled through the very walls of the castle and its chambers to provide warmth, making Winterfell more comfortable than most castles during the harsh northern winters. But even then, it's said that the northern winds are still bite. Within its walls, the complex contains numerous courtyards and open spaces where weapons training and drills are conducted. The inner ward, a much older courtyard, lies adjacent to the Broken Tower and serves as the primary ground for archery practice. At the heart of Winterfell stands the inner castle, encompassing the Great Keep and the Great Hall. The castle's towers and halls are distinguished by diamond-shaped window panes, a feature characteristic of the northern designs. The Winter Town, so named because it lies mostly deserted during the summer, is where the small folk gather during the harsh northern winters. It lies just outside the walls of Winterfell. Its market square is filled with wooden stalls for merchants, and its streets are often muddy, flanked by rows of houses constructed from logs and undressed stone. Fewer than 1 in 5 of these homes are occupied during the summer, but they fill very quickly when winter arrives. Beyond the Winter Town runs the King's Road, to the east of Winterfell. Among its establishments is an inn known as the Smoking Log, which serves travellers and villagers alike. At the start of the main book series in 298 AC, the current Lord of Winterfell is Lord Eddard Stark, whom suddenly became Lord in 283 AC at the onset of Robert's Rebellion. His father, Rickard, and elder brother, Brandon, were murdered by the Mad King Aerys II Targaryen at the very start of the war. In 298 AC, his household consists of Varon Paul, who serves as Winterfell's steward, overseeing the management of the castle, Maester Lewin, who provides counsel to Lord Eddard Stark and teaches his children, Sir Roderick Cassel, who holds the position of Master-at-Arms, while his nephew, Jory Cassel, commands the Stark household guard. The castle's sept is maintained by Septon Chael, and Septa Mordain instructs Stark children in the ways of the faith. Septs, Septons and Septors are a rare sight in the north. Other key servants include the likes of Hullen, the master of the horse, Farlan, the kennel master, Micken, the blacksmith, Gage the cook, and Barth the brewer. The inner castle is the modern-day heart of the complex that makes up Winterfell. The Great Keep is the innermost stronghold of it, built atop a natural hot spring to provide warmth during the harsh winters, with the Lord's bedchamber said to be the hottest room in the keep. Within its walls are the bedchambers of House Stark and the Solar of Eddard Stark. A covered bridge connects the Great Keep to the armory, which one can view the entire castle yard. Beneath the keep lie cellars, pierced by narrow windows. Theon Greyjoy recalls a thrashing he received when he accidentally knocked Old Nan to the ground while carelessly leaping down the Great Keep's spiral stairs. He also remembers a time he and Robb Stark often sparred on the stairs with wooden swords. The Great Hall serves as the principal space for receiving guests and for the household to dine together, including the Lord of Winterfell. Constructed of grey stone, it features a wide oak and iron door opening to the castle yard, while a rear exit leads to a dimly lit gallery. Inside, the hall accommodates 8 long rows of trestle tables, 4 to each side of a central aisle, and can be set up for up to 500 people. A raised platform provides seating for noble guests, and the walls are adorned with banners. The hall also contains the high seat of the old kings of the north, whose cold stone has been polished by countless lords over the centuries. Its massive arms are carved with snarling direwolf heads, emblematic of House Stark. A small sept constructed for Lady Catelyn Tully, a southerner by birth, was added nearby by her husband, Lord Eddard Stark. The Lord of Winterfell would always be a Stark. The Thoughts of Tyrion Lannister, A Clash of Kings Chapter 54, Tyrion 12. Around the inner castle is a series of outer buildings and towers from various eras of Winterfell's long history. The first keep is a squat, round drum tower and the oldest surviving structure within Winterfell, though it is no longer used and is in a state of bad disrepair. Surrounding it lies a graveyard where the kings of winter traditionally buried their most loyal servants. Gargoyles perch atop, lending to its grim, watchful appearance. A maester of the citadel named Kennet is determined that the first keep was constructed after the arrival of the Andals, but states it is impossible to truly know how old it is, and there are some tales that suggest it could date back to the first men. The Broken Tower, also known as the Burn Tower, was once Winterfell's tallest watchtower. Over 140 years ago, it was struck by lightning, igniting a fire that caused the upper third of the tower to collapse inward. It was never rebuilt. The tower stands behind the old inner ward, and crows now make their nest atop its ruined heights. The glass gardens are a greenhouse within Winterfell, warmed by the castle's natural hot springs, creating a humid and temperate environment. The gardens are used for cultivating fruits and vegetables, and flowers throughout the year. Its walls and roof are constructed of green and yellow panes of glass, securely set in sturdy frames. It makes Winterfell semi-sustainable, and some factor this into the discussion as to why Winterfell is such a hard castle to siege, given food can be grown within the walls of the castle itself. It also proves vital during winter, with fresh food still being grown. The bell tower that connects to Winterfell's rookery via a covered bridge, which runs from the 4th floor of the tower to the 2nd floor of the rookery. Beneath the rookery lies the maester's turret, where the castle's maester carries out his duties. The library tower contains Winterfell's vast library, with a stone staircase winding around its exterior for access. The tower contains shelves, benches, and a table. Winterfell's library contains more than 100 books and includes rare volumes, including copies of Engines of War. The library of Winterfell has been collected by House Stark for centuries. When Queen Alysanne Targaryen visited the castle in 58 AC, Lord Stark allowed her to browse the modest castle library. Curling around the tower's exterior are steep stone steps aligned with the bell tower and the guards' hall. Beneath the castle, Winterfell contains deep and extensive undercrofts and cellars. The fortress also has dungeons, including several tower cells used to confine prisoners. It was a dark, primal place, 3 acres of old forest untouched for 10,000 years as the gloomy castle rose around it. It smelled of moist earth and decay. The thoughts of Catelyn Stark, A Game of Thrones Chapter 2, Catelyn 1. The godswood of Winterfell encompasses roughly 3 acres of the forest within the castle walls, and perhaps dates back 10,000 years. Legend holds that the face carved into the central weirwood was the work of the children of the forest. Brandon the Builder is said to have constructed Winterfell around the grove and prayed within the sacred confines. The dense canopy of trees cast shade over the old packed earth. Among the trees are ash, chestnut, elm, hawthorn, ironwood, oak, sentinel and soldier pine, and blackberry bushes grow throughout the grove. A meandering footpath of cracked stones winds its way through the woods. At the heart of the woods itself stands an ancient weirwood tree, its melancholy face carved into the bark, rising above a pool of cold, black water. During winter, snow shrikes may be seen among the branches, and squirrels dwell in the oak trees. Across the grove from the heart tree, beneath the windows of the guest house, are underground hot springs fed by 3 small pools, their edges framed by a moss-covered wall. The crypts of Winterfell, situated near the first keep, serve as the burial place for members of House Stark. These underground chambers are long and narrow, with pillars arranged in pairs along their length. Between the pillars stands the sculptures of the Starks, each likeness seated upon a throne, and an iron sword laid upon them to restrain restless spirits, and snarling direwolves carved at their feet. The crypts extend deep beneath the earth, larger and more cavernous than the castle above. They are reached by a twisting stone staircase and a massive ironwood door. The stairs descend further still, leading to the oldest levels, where the most ancient kings of winter are entombed. The most recent tombs within the Winterfell's crypts belong to Lord Rickard Stark and his children, Brandon and Lyanna. Deeper within the crypt, empty and unsealed tombs have been reserved for the current and future members of House Stark. Departing from tradition of reserving statues for lords alone, Lord Eddard Stark, Rickard's successor, commissioned statues of his deceased siblings, Brandon and Lyanna, following Robert's rebellion. Their tombs and statues are positioned on either side of their father's resting place. A statue also stands for Artos the Impeccable, the younger brother of Lord Willem Stark. Unlike most castles in Westeros, Winterfell is defended by 2 formidable walls of grey granite with a wide moat that separates them. The outer wall rises 80 feet, while the inner wall reaches 100 feet. Guard towers crown the outer walls, and the crenulated inner walls are punctured by more than 30 watchtowers. The main gate features a gatehouse flanked by 2 massive crenulated bulwarks, with an arched entrance and a drawbridge leading directly into the market square of the Winter Town. Within the inner walls runs a narrow tunnel that stretches halfway around the castle, allowing uninterrupted passage from the south gate to the north gate. The Hunter's Gate lies near the kennels and the kitchens and opens directly into the surrounding fields of the Wolfswood. allowing hunters and others to enter the castle without passing through the winter town. The East Gate, sometimes called the King's Road Gate, leads to the King's Road itself. The Battlements Gate is also a small arched posttion in the inner wall, crossing the moat between the walls, but providing no passage through the outer walls.